What's up? This is the Coats Exist podcast. I started recording another one 3 minutes ago, and I had to stop because there was a loud noise, and I'm pissed off because I thought I said a bunch of funny things, but, who knows? So I'm going to have to scrap all that and start over. So this episode is brought to you by Ocean Breeze Air Conditionings. If you want to have an air conditioning that doesn't work, that's the one to get because it doesn't work. And I know it doesn't work because I just mowed the lawn and I'm all sweaty and I'm sitting in the bedroom and it's hot as hell. So don't get that one. I just mowed the lawn and I didn't have any gas in the gas can because my neighbor stole it. And I remember there was gas in there, and I know he stole it because one day he knocked on my door a couple weeks ago and he's like, hey, somebody came onto my property and stole my gas can. So if that happens to you, it's probably the same guy that's going around doing that. And I was like, that's weird. I feel like you're just telling me that in case you want to steal my gas can. But he really went with this prank or whatever it was, this lie, because he called the cops, and the cops came and they're like, okay, he stole an empty gas can from you. And the guy's like, yeah, he stole an empty gas can. So, and it was a whole thing that happened, and it went well into the night because cops kept coming all day, and it was a whole big thing. But yeah, so the next day I go out to my shed and the gas can's empty, so I had to go fill it up, and I had to hide it. And I'm thinking about setting up booby traps in the shed, but I feel like it'll be my fault if something happens to him, even if it's something silly like he gets slimed or paint all over his face, because who knows? I'll still get in trouble for it. Or I'll be the one to accidentally set off the booby trap and it'll go off in my head and I'll get slimed and I'll get pissed off, because it happened to me once before. I was chewing bubble yum gum and I was walking into Walmart. I had like 45 pieces of bubble yum gum in my mouth, and I spit it out on the ground on the pavement, and I was like, somebody's going to step in that. It's going to be funny. And then of course I stepped in it on the way back, and deservedly so. So yeah, so that's my morning. Last night was not a good night. I had a show, comedy show, and it was a big echoey bar, and nobody did well because there was like about 8 people that showed up, and all the comedians did what they could. Some got laughs, some didn't. Everybody kept up their energy except for me. I was the last one to go up, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna, usually I'll just plow through it and I'll try my best, but I just walked off. I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore, and I just left. I've never done that before. I've never just been like, I just felt like if you're not going to pay attention, if you're not going to listen, or you're not going to laugh, like I'm not going to, and I know it's on me. I'm the one that's supposed to do the work, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter how many people are in the audience. I should make it work. But you know what? I'm a human being, and sometimes I'm just not feeling it, and I wasn't feeling it. So I was just like, okay, I'm done. And I left. I got off stage and I left. And then on the ride home, I was like, I can't believe I did that. But hey, that's why you do these things. And of course, there was a Saturday Night Live agent in the audience, and that's one of my biggest fears, is the time that I'm like, there's only 3 people here. I'm not going to even do well on purpose. And then I'll get off stage and Lorne Michaels will be like, I was in the audience, I was looking for 3 people, and I'm going to choose not you. So, yeah, that's my fear. But there was a guy in the audience that runs a bunch of shows, and he's like, you all plowed through it. I gotta say, usually at my shows, I'm trying to put comedy together, and I have like 300 people show up to my shows, and you all plowed through it. And then he looked at me and he's like, well, you tried. And I was like, oh God, the one time that I decided I was gonna just like be like, nope, you don't deserve my jokes. The one time. Okay, there's been more than one time, but I always will finish. I'll always at least finish my set. This time I was just like, no. So anyways, that was a disaster. But, whatever. What am I going to do? So anyways, I have a new job now. I guess I could tell the story that happened in my old job. I used to work at a company that I got really dirty, like filthy, like disgustingly filthy. And I used to get in trouble for going to the bathroom too much. Like I have like a small bladder, I guess, so I pee a lot. So I'd get in trouble. My boss would be like, Joe, you go to the bathroom too much. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? You want me to just piss my pants? Like, I don't know, you gotta figure, get a doctor's note. And I was like, I don't have time or money to go to a doctor and be like, hey, because they're gonna. One time I went to a doctor because I had a stomach ache, and I was like, my stomach's really been bothering me. He's like, oh, well, you need a colonoscopy. I was like, what are you talking about? My stomach's hurt. He's like, well, you need a colonoscopy. I was like, what are you fucking talking about? So I had to get a colonoscopy. I was like super young when that happened. So they did all. Oh, by the way, the first appointment I called up, I was like, all right, I got to get my colonoscopy, and they're like, oh, it's $10,000, and I was like, all right, I'm okay. I guess I'm not getting one. And they're like, oh, you can go to the hospital and get one for free, and I was like, okay, that's what I'll do. So I got it. They gave me a drug that was amazing. Apparently, it was the date rape drug. I forget what the actual name of it is called, but it made you feel so good. And yeah, so they shoved tubes up my ass and down my throat. And I was thinking, like, actually, while I was like high on this drug, I was thinking, like, is that the same tube that you shoved up my ass that you just stuck down my throat? But anyways, afterwards, the end result was like, no, you don't have colon cancer. And then they're like, see you later. I was like, well, what do I have? My stomach still hurts. Like, what the fuck? So anyways, yeah, so my boss is like, you gotta go to the doctor. So I try not to go to I go to the doctor all the time, but I try not to do it for, like, real things. I do it for, like, hypochondria things, like, what is this lump on my throat? What is this? What is that? And then I just need to hear a doctor say, oh, it's nothing, don't worry about it. And most of the time, that's what they do. But if I go for something real, like, oh, I pee all the time, they're going to be like, all right, for the next 17 years, we're going to give you tests, and you're going to have to go get tests done. So that's what always happens to me. So I didn't want to go. So what I did was I would just pee really quick. I'd, like, sneak in there whenever my boss wasn't looking. I'd pee really quick, and I'd just run out without washing my hands, which didn't really matter because the place was filthy. When I say filthy, I don't want to give away where I live or where I work, but it was just, like, filthy. So I wouldn't wash my hands, and it didn't matter because I wasn't pissing on my hands. So I know it sounds gross, but I don't give a fuck. So I would run out, and then one day there was this guy, this big Frankenstein-looking dude who didn't like me. And previous to this, he was trying to impress this. There was, like, one girl that worked there. He was trying to impress her, and he was, like, he made some kind of joke at me, and I didn't know he was joking, so I was just like, like, I laughed along with him. And then, like, an hour later, I was like, oh, wait, he was making fun of me. Damn. I was like, that's fucked up. But I was like, I'll let it go, whatever. You know, I'll let it go. Like, what am I going to do? So, you know, one day I'm in the bathroom, I take a piss, and I run out to go back to work, and the Frankenstein-looking dude comes out behind me. He's like, yo, Joe, you didn't wash your hands. That's disgusting. And I was like, because, like, my head was just like, I don't want to get caught by my boss. That's where my head was. Like, I'm so, like, living on the momentum of my thoughts that I don't really pay attention to what's happening around me sometimes. So I'm just like, yeah. He's like, no, that was disgusting, seriously. And he, like, turns and walks back to his station. I'm like, So I go to my station, I start working on my thing, and then I was just like, what? Did he just, wait, what? So I walked over to him, I was like, yo, were you serious right there? Were you telling me, like, that was disgusting that I don't wash my hands? And he's like, yeah, that's disgusting. And I know most of the people listening will probably agree that it's disgusting. But fuck this guy. And that's what I told him. I said, you motherfucker. I'm not going to recreate what I said, but it was pretty intense. This guy was like 8 feet tall, and I was going to say I got, you know, face to face with him, but I got, like, stomach to face with him. And I'm like, you motherfucker. I was like, don't you ever, I was like, stop coming in the bathroom and looking at my dick. I was like, why are you looking at my dick? He's like, yo, I'm not looking at your dick. I was like, you're looking at my fucking dick. Why are you in the bathroom looking at my dick? I was like, you motherfucker. I was like, mind your own goddamn business, fuck face. I was like, flipping the fuck out. As, like, the big boss was walking by, and he's like, yo, calm down. I'm like, no, motherfucker. I was like, stop going in the bathroom and looking at my fucking dick. I, like, lost my shit. And he's like, yeah, we'll go to HR if you have a problem. So anyways, cut ahead a week or two, we're in an insurance meeting. A bunch of employees. And I'm sitting next to the girl that he was trying to flirt with. Like, the girl is to my right, and then to her right is the Frankenstein dude. And we all have these packets with pens. We're supposed to, like, take notes or whatever, fill out a paper. And we're listening to this lady talk about insurance. And I grabbed the girl's packet. Like, we're all quiet. All the employees are quiet. So, like, I, like, quietly grabbed her packet, like, out of her hands. And she's, like, mouthing, like, what are you doing? And I was like, hee. And I drew, like, a dick on her packet. Like, a really terrible dick. Like, 2 circles and an oval. And I drew, like, little spurts coming out of it. It was, like, a terrible, terrible dick. And then I gave it back to her. And it was tiny. It was like a little tiny thing. And she's, you know, giggles. She's like, hey. And I didn't notice that Frankenstein-looking dude was, like, kind of paying attention, but not really. But whatever. didn't even think about anything of it. And, you know, the day goes on. So it's the next day. I come into work. And the girl, you know, about 2 hours into work, she comes up to me and she's like, hey, I just got questioned about that dick that you drew on my packet. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, they questioned me about the dick that you drew. They asked me if I was uncomfortable about it. I was like, what dick? What are you even talking about? She's like, that little dick you drew on my packet. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, they were questioning me if I was uncomfortable. And I was like, what'd you say? She's like, I said, no. And I was like, what is going on right now? I was like, wow, what, did you say something? Like, what is happening? And she's like, I don't know. Somebody must have said something. And I'm thinking, like, she said something. I'm like, did you? She's like, no, I didn't say anything. So it was really weird. So I was like, so I immediately went to my boss because I was like, I gotta figure this out right away, or I'm gonna be thinking about it. So I'm like, am I getting in trouble for drawing a dick on her packet? And he's like, just go back to work. We'll talk about it. So sure enough, an hour later, I got called into the office, like the big boss's offices, and there's like 3 of them sitting around me, and they're like, oh, do you know why you're here? And I was like, is it because I drew a dick on her packet? And they both look at each other, and they're like, well, in today's day and age, that could be considered, you know, we don't want to put words, but it could be considered like some kind of, you know. And I was like, what are you talking about? It was like it was a joke. It was between me and her. She's like, well, you know, it could be considered. And I'm like, did she say something? And they're like, no, she didn't say anything. And I was like, I don't want to say his name. I was like, it was the Frankenstein motherfucker, wasn't it? And they both look at each other and like, well, you know, we're not going to say if it... And I was like, I know it was him. I was like, it's because I didn't wash my hands in the bathroom. It's because I didn't wash my hands, and he came out, and he started... So I told them the whole story, and they're laughing. Like, I'm actually pissed, and they're laughing. And they're like, all right, well, this will stay between us, and let's just not talk about this anymore. And, yeah. So that guy didn't talk to me for about a year after I worked there, and then he left to go become a lawyer. And, now I make podcasts on this little teeny microphone with an air conditioning that doesn't work, and I have my neighbor who's stealing my gas can from me. Thank you.